The views and opinions expressed on this program do not reflect the company, owners, management, staff, clients, or partners.
Welcome to Bermuda's Daily Talk Show. It's the Daily Hour.
ChatGPT did become the world's most downloaded non-gaming app.
Literally the job of everyone in government to address the media and the public.
What are your thoughts, audience? What are your thoughts on Zandy Silva as the deputy PLP leader?
A community that can't feed itself is a community that, you know.
What you may not know, though, is that Bermuda, we have a connection with Epstein, too.
Things that people are doing right, the youth are doing right, that is not being advertised enough.
When you see access to U.S. dollars disappear, that's when you have a problem.
If you've got a town in the UK with a similar sized population, this place absolutely outshines it.
It's Thursday, the 14th day of May, 2026. Welcome to Bermuda's Daily Talk Show. This is the Daily Hour brought to you by the BAC Group of Companies, HSBC Bermuda, Medical House Lenders, People's Pharmacy, and big love to Hot 107.5 for ensuring that we can pump through the radio airwaves with these most important community conversations. I'm Jamal Hartman. How's everyone feeling today? It is, well, you know what it is. Everyone says it nowadays, Friday, Junior. You know, the day before the end of the traditional work week. Everyone feeling good out there? How's everyone feeling? Feeling accomplished? Feeling like you got something done this week? We are almost there. We are almost there to the weekend where you want to relax, but you end up doing more work anyway. All right, folks. Well, James Burgess says, good morning to the Daily Hour team show, and a great morning to you, James Burgess. Folks, greetings, everyone, and thanks for making us part of your daily routine. A good one today as we welcome Lisa James on from the Bermuda Caregivers Alliance. We're going to be discussing how we need to build a better support system for caregivers. So I'm really looking forward to this conversation. It's like when we bring people on, whether it's pals or nurses, and we always ask, like, or sometimes therapists, who's helping the therapist, who's helping the nurse, like who's helping these folks. So I'm really looking forward to learning and understanding the important role that this organization intends to play in our community. All right, well, audience, please don't, the Daily Play today is a name that place. Let me not forget that, because you know you all love geography. All right, don't forget to subscribe on our website, thedailyhour.com. Follow us on all of our social media channels to stay up to date with all that we have going on. Help us grow beyond the mic as we do our part to continue to improve our community. All right, got Suzanne Ingham says, good morning, Jamal. It's super awesome day. It's a super awesome day. I've had 2 Fridays this week, already due by tomorrow. I'll have 2 Fridays this week. Absolutely unreal, Jamal. Tomorrow is Sherry Day. Thank you, Sherry, for your day. 2 Fridays, a Sherry Day. Oh my, I love it for you. Miss Alan Kate Horton says, good morning, everyone, and great morning to you. And Evelyn Pitt says, good morning, Daily All blessings, Jamal, and blessings to you as well. Folks, we've got a conversation to have this morning. We have a conversation to have this morning. This is not new. But over the past few months, I've seen more and more Bermudians asking about the next census. And honestly, I understand why. There's a growing curiosity about how much Bermuda's demographics may have shifted over the years. Many people believe the island looks and feels different than it once did. Now, before anyone gets uncomfortable, let's be mature enough to have an honest conversation this morning. Change itself is not automatically a bad thing. Countries evolve, cultures evolve, communities evolve. And Bermuda has always had international influences woven into its identity. But I think what many people are trying to understand is whether Bermuda is changing naturally or whether economic realities have forced many Bermudians, particularly middle-class Bermudians, to leave while immigration continues increasing to fill labor and population gaps. We've had countless conversations on this show over the years about culture shifting and traditions fading. Some people say that's simply modernization, while others believe it's because so many Bermudians have relocated overseas for affordability, opportunity, or quality of life. And let's be honest, many families know someone who has left Bermuda and built their lives, somewhere else. Whether it's London, Atlanta, Toronto, Dubai, Ghana. There are Bermudians across the world who still love Bermuda deeply, but no longer feel they can realistically live in Bermuda and thrive in Bermuda. But at the same time, Bermuda has become more internationally diverse, with people from many different backgrounds now calling the island home. That diversity has brought benefits to Bermuda economically, culturally, and professionally. But I also think it's fair for people to ask difficult questions about identity, belonging, and the long-term future of Bermudian culture. We must understand that preserving Bermudian culture and acknowledging demographic changes should not automatically be viewed as hostility toward immigration or diversity. Those are two very different conversations. And perhaps one of the biggest questions people are asking is this: why does it sometimes feel like there's more effort placed on bringing people into Bermuda than there is on bringing Bermudians back home? What policies exist to encourage Bermudians overseas to return? What opportunities are being created for young Bermudians to stay? And what does affordability look like for the next generation? Are we doing enough to ensure Bermudians can still see a future for themselves in Bermuda? Now, to be fair, Bermuda absolutely needs international business, foreign investment, and global talent. That's part of our economic reality. But at the same time, every country has to find balance between economic growth and preserving national identity, culture, and opportunity for its own people. So this morning, we're asking, what are your thoughts on the changing demographics of Bermuda? And do you believe Bermuda's cultural identity is changing significantly? Also, the poll, do you think government is doing enough to encourage Bermudians overseas to return home? Folks, you see the question. What are your thoughts on the changing demographics of Bermuda? Think about it. We'll be back after this short break, but give us some thought. Looking forward to seeing your feedback. This is your daily discussion brought to you by Titan Express and Secure.
People's ACW, located at King Edward VII Memorial Hospital, carries over-the-counter medicines, toys, cards, and even toiletries. Our knowledgeable staff are there whether you're at emergency, visiting family, or a member of BHB staff, to show you our best even when you're feeling your worst. People's ACW, we're here for you.
All right, audience, you see the question of the morning. Again, what are your thoughts on the changing demographics of Bermuda? And the poll is, do you think the government is doing enough to lure Bermudians back home? You can press 1 for yes, 2 for no. It's a conversation. It's a conversation. Many Bermudians are curious about the upcoming census results and demographic changes. I think we'd be lying if we didn't say Bermuda feels culturally different than it did 10 to 20 years ago. If we're honest, some of that change is natural evolution. Some believe it's the relocation of Bermudians, especially middle-class Black Bermudians, which has accelerated, it's quickened, it's hastened the movement of the cultural shift. Bermuda has become more internationally diverse with immigration from various countries. Diversity itself is not inherently negative. But there's an important distinction concern about cultural preservation is not automatically anti-immigrant. There are many people asking questions quietly. Why are so many Bermudians leaving? I think many people have different answers. Why aren't more Bermudians returning home? Is Bermuda becoming too expensive for Bermudians to build a future? Are government policies more focused on attracting foreign workers and investment than retaining Bermudians? Then there's the balance. Yes, Bermuda benefits from immigration, talent, and international business. But countries like Bermuda also need policies that protect cultural identity and encourage citizens to stay and return. We have to have this conversation. I'm really looking forward to the census. I am. But what are your thoughts, audience? And again, this is not a hate-filled conversation. You know, this is not anti-immigrant. At the end of the day, none of us are native to Bermuda. We all came from somewhere. And our families and our ancestors have made wonderful contributions to Bermuda, to which we enjoy the fruits of their labor today. But there has to be a balance. So what are your thoughts on the changing demographics of Bermuda? And you see the poll. Do you think the government is doing enough to lure Bermudians back home? 1 for yes, 2 for no. We've got Suzanne. Suzanne, try to keep it a bit shorter so we can get you on the screen, all right? She says, no, I don't think Bermuda is doing enough to bring people back home. My friend is leaving this month to live in the UK. Becky, she cannot afford to stay here. Can't even find a job. Can't get ahead. No one cares. My heart is broken to see her leave. Her daughter will be following her shortly. This is just heartbreaking. That is heartbreaking. The fact that people are leaving Bermuda. I'm looking at the comments now. I know people, and we're talking not just anyone. We're talking doctors. We're talking about C-suite executives who are tuned in right now who have left Bermuda. Who, in my opinion, Bermuda didn't treat well enough. Bermuda didn't show love. We've got Dr. Lou Matthews says, what conditions make it attractive? Speaking of attracting, for Bermudians to leave. And also, and can we also name Black Bermudians in this? So we are talking also about anti-Black Bermudian immigration policy. We have a history of this. See, Dr. Lou, they always think I bring up race and stuff. And sometimes we have to be honest. These conversations are going to be uncomfortable. And I'm going to pick on you since you commented, Dr. Lou Matthews. I'm also going to pick on Charles H. Jeffers II in the audience. 2 gentlemen, esteemed gentlemen who've been appreciated beyond Bermuda. Talented, educated. Both of you should be in Bermuda contributing to our island's success. But where are you? And why are you there? I'm not asking anyone to answer that for me. But I'm simply saying these are the examples I'm speaking of. This is what leads to a changing demographic in Bermuda. We are losing some of the most talented Bermudians. So there has to be a balance. We can't say that we need people in Bermuda, as the current Minister of Labor and Economy has said over the years. But allow our most talented to keep leaving. That's not how this is supposed to work. Folks, this is your daily discussion brought to you by Titan Express and Secure. The question this morning, what are your thoughts on the changing demographics of Bermuda? And the poll, press 1 for yes, 2 for no. Do you think the government is doing enough to lure Bermudians back home? 1 for yes. You can't put anything else. You just got to put 1 or 2 and enter. All right? You can't put your name. You can't put comment. Again, do you think the government is doing enough to lure Bermudians back home? 1 for yes, 2 for no. We've got Richard Scott says, the question remains, why do people believe it is necessary to leave Bermuda? And that's the thing, I wish that was part of the census, to reach out to people who no longer live in Bermuda and ask them that why. Now, I've heard so many different answers, Richard Scott. I've heard people say quality of life. I've heard people say for their children. I've heard people say, healthcare. I've heard people say for job opportunities. But I think getting actual answers in like a survey format. I mean, you know what? I'm going to say something. Does the government care enough to want to know? That's a question. Does the government of Bermuda care enough to want to know why Bermudians are leaving? That's a question in itself. Audience, what are your thoughts on the change in demographics of Bermuda? That's the conversation we're having this morning. And the poll, do you think the government is doing enough to lure Bermudians back home? 1 for yes, 2 for no. We've got 911 Island Girl says, not enough is being done to help Bermudians to remain in Bermuda who don't have relocation options. So the chances of anything being done to bring them back here, 0. It's unfortunate. It's unfortunate. And it's sad, not just that you feel that way, but that's the reality of so many, right? It's sad. Charles H. Jefferson II, he says, having lived outside of Bermuda longer than on island, I never felt that there was a concerted effort to attract me and others to return. Upon returning, I had to fight for what my predecessors received. That goes back to what Dr. Lou Matthews, I think, was the point he was making, is the anti-Black Bermudian policy, right? Charles is absolutely correct. Like, in his case, and I hope he doesn't mind me sharing this is a man that, achieved something no other Bermudians done in a space where Bermuda wants to be a serious player. And when given the opportunity, he was not given the opportunity, and you can pick the bones out of that. One of the challenges I think we have is the big fish in small pond mentality. That sometimes when we have a Bermudian who has been successful beyond Bermuda in spaces that most Bermudians will never have the opportunity to sniff, we feel threatened by them. We don't like them. We don't welcome them. But if it was a non-Bermudian, we're welcoming them. Why? Because they're not a fellow Bermudian. You want to be the only one, unfortunately. Ego, man. Ego. And let's be clear. I absolutely have no problem. Next week, Friday, is Bermuda Day. And we're going to have different, it's going to show again in the parade likely, right? I don't know who's participating yet, but this is not about hating any of the other groups who have made Bermuda their home. This is not about that, folks. Let me be very clear. This is not a hate-filled conversation. This is really to understand how Bermudians feel about the change in demographics, knowing that the change in demographics of Bermuda are a result of so many different causes. Number one, people not feeling like Bermuda loves them enough. Don't feel like they can raise their children in Bermuda. Don't find it affordable and the quality of life, healthcare. Feel insulted that Bermuda seems more focused in bringing others into the island rather than retaining them in Bermuda. Let's go back to the audience. What are your thoughts on the change in demographics of Bermuda? We've got Maurice Foley says, I returned home to Bermuda 2 years ago after living in the US for 30 years and could not have done this without support from family, which is probably the exception. I appreciate your honesty, Mr. Philly, because there are a lot of people, as Shawnette Sumner mentioned earlier, not everyone has that option. There are people who want to leave but just don't have that option. We've got Suzanne, it's still long. You got to keep it shorter, please. She says, people cannot afford to live here. I'm struggling to make ends meet. Will I and my family be next? I have 3 years left on my mortgage. And as a senior, I have to find a job because I can't stand in my present job any longer. How can Bermuda help me? I'm born, raised here for generations. I hope that none of you who are in Bermuda right now feel like you're being pushed out. I really hope that you can stay. I hope that you are able to contribute to Bermuda. I really do. Richard Scott says the demographics will change because there are a group of people who see Bermuda as an opportunity, whilst there also exists a group who feel marginalized and disenfranchised. Absolutely. What bothers me is Bermuda is a country. It's a country where generations have poured their blood, sweat, tears into building. This country should not be a billionaire's playground. I'm going to tell you that I don't see Bermuda changing until we get governments or political parties or activists who start focusing on people over money. And I know everyone's like, well, we need money to sustain ourselves and so on. There's ways to do it. You cannot cater, again, David Burt, Premier of Bermuda, prior to the 2017 election. No one talks about this. No one actually talks about this. But he kept talking about, we're not talking about, trickle-down economics. We're going to be doing ripple economics. So it's not going to be trickling down. It's going to be going out, ripple. No one asked him about that. Well, what's the latest on that, Premier? Why? Because we have short memories, and the government knows we have short memories. The government knows that we don't last long in tough conversations. Kate Horton says, say that again, ego. Susanna Ingham says, you nailed it, Jamal. Dave Vinay says, I'm 46, and Bermuda is no longer for Bermudians, period. It's unfortunate. Renee Sherilyn says, government should have long ago looked into addressing this problem. I have a cousin in the UK now, has his own swizzle distribution plant and restaurant he set up and has no desire to return. Lou Matthews says, this feels like an engineering problem. Fit. I always question how I fit into where Bermuda is. So much of my work is about creating opportunities for children, families, and educators in math. I love what Dr. Lou just said. Fit. Engineering. Fit. We've got Charles H. Jefferson the second says, 10 years ago, I met with Premier Dunkley and opposition leader Burt separately and asked how many Bermudians had left. They had no idea. 10 years later, we still don't. Before attracting to return, we must know how many. Absolutely. Absolutely. Dr. Lou Matthews says, while living in Bermuda, I was required to be compliant, silent, wait my turn, and put my head down, compliant and creating. That was my big battle. I was often told to leave, e.g. this island is too small for you, well-meaning, but each message from officials, family added to the push until it became obvious I fit professional elsewhere. Sorry, became obvious I fit professional elsewhere. I'm just reading what I see, folks. We've got Suzanne Ingham says, government wants to make it a millionaire's playground. Billionaires, Jamal. Sorry to say, but that is their goal, millionaire's playground. That's unfortunate. Anthony Richardson says, too many Bermudians have been marginalized in favor of non-Bermudians. You reach a stage where you have to spread your wings. Unfortunately, it's not our home of Bermuda. We've got Shay Vinay says, government wants to be for the rich, and it is slowly turning into a retirement village. Unfortunately, not for Bermudians either. I want to share this because a couple of people shared to me what the mayor of New York, I think his name, Donnie, he apparently did this thing where any second homes worth 5 million or more, he put a tax on them, and basically got New York like wiped their debt or done some surplus, something. I read it, but I should have read it to read today. But long story short, people have sent it to me saying, so it can be done. It can be done if you actually take a fair approach economically. Now, you've got people, the mayor of Dallas, a black man, and others in Texas saying, well, people will leave New York and they'll come to places like Texas where it's more tax, friendly. I'll say this much. People have been leaving New York for donkey's years because of the price. They've been leaving it for years and they're still there. The second thing is, if you are selling your economy based on what you believe is fair for billionaires rather than the average person, that's not something to celebrate. That's not something to celebrate to me. I think capitalist governments have failed to strike a balance. And that's why you've seen the rise of democratic socialists. Not saying I agree with either, but you have to strike a balance either way. This is why I don't mess with conservatives or liberals, because they're both extremists to me. You have got to strike a balance. And that's where Bermuda has fallen short. We have failed to strike a balance for the benefit of the Bermudian people. We should not be losing our most talented people. And I'm a firm believer that if people had more options, we'd see even more leaving Bermuda. I truly believe that. But that shouldn't be the case. But as much as we're asking the question about why Bermudians are leaving, much should be asked of those who are coming to Bermuda, of why you chose Bermuda. And only then will we find out the true implications of why the demographic change is actually a danger to the cultural traditions and the Bermuda that we built and came to know. Let's go through these final few comments. This is your daily discussion brought to you by Titan Express and Secure. We've got Island Girl, 9/11 Island Girl says, I know 8 families who will be gone before this year ends. Full families, including elderly parents and children. I estimate about 25 people in those 8 families. Common issue, lack of quality of life. Charles H. Jeffs II says, given the political shift in 98, I would have never thought we would be here less than 30 years later, said. Judith Welch says, Bermudians are the only ones who have to compromise in their own country. Why do we always have to give up what we want for the benefit of the country/company when others do not? Senator Fabler says, Mandani did a property tax on high-value properties where the owners didn't reside. The deficit was eliminated without cutting social services. However, it also required additional state funding. Thank you for that clarification. I appreciate you, Senator Fabler. We've got Suzanne Ingham says, remember last week's talk, Jamal? They want to give stays to rich people. Hell no. Billionaires playground? Absolutely no to this foolishness. Hell no. Richard Scott, President Scott says the equity versus equality option must be addressed. Absolutely. Absolutely. We've got Manuela Jones says, so many left Bermuda to get higher education. After they acquired that, they often found that there was no place for them, even though other nationals were with comparable qualifications were imposed. Indeed. We've got Ms. Ellen Kate Horton says, a big concern of mine is the lack of training to keep Bermudians in top government jobs. We now have foreigners in the post of permanent secretary. We've also got Dorian says, did expat workers choose Bermuda or were they invited? Again, we have to ask expats this question. We have to. And And with this comment from Charles H. Jeffs II, he says, to be fair, while I think the government should lead the effort to attract Bermudians to return, there needs to be private sector focus too. In my opinion, Bermudians return is good for long-term viability. Thank you so much for that. You all have been awesome. And the poll results, the question was, do you think the government is doing enough to lure Bermudians back home? And this is most people who's filled out our poll. It says one person, 9%, said yes, and the majority, 91% of you, said no. You don't believe the government is doing enough to lure Bermudians back home. Audience, you have been awesome. If you haven't already and you are streaming with us on Facebook, LinkedIn, YouTube, Twitter, X, or Instagram, please give us a thumbs up, a love, a like. I'm going to do the show some love to Titan Express and Secure in a minute, but don't forget this Sunday, if you haven't already, the first of a series of 3 books of quotes and affirmations that I'm releasing. It will be released. I'll be having a book signing at People's Pharmacy from 12 to 2 this Sunday. So make sure you come out to People's Pharmacy this Sunday. It'll be the first of 3 books. My favorite book is the second one because it really speaks to the social justice. I think that's the second book. Yeah. But this one just kind of gives you a guide as to what the other 2 books will be. But look forward to seeing you all out on Sunday at People's Pharmacy, 12 to 2. Signing books and having conversations with you. Hopefully you will find something in this book that will empower you, inspire you, and just help you to keep going, keep pushing on. It's very personal. A lot of the words in this book are things that I have stated to myself. It's a lot of personal stuff. We're talking, loss of people. We're talking, disappointments. But also empowerment, self-empowerment. So again, come out, check it out. Look forward to seeing you this Sunday. But right now, let's give some love to Titan Express and Secure. Don't forget, we've got Lisa James coming up after our commercial break. I love this conversation, building a better support system for caregivers in Bermuda.
The daily discussion is brought to you by Titan Express and Secure. Titan Express delivers safe, professional, and reliable transportation and tours across the island. From island tours to cultural experiences, they set the standard. And Secure is your go-to for property management, waste management, and residential and commercial services. Visit securebda.com. Professional, punctual, and reliable service is their commitment to you.
All right, folks. I've got to do something. Let me get the book down. I got the book down. Hey, it's my father's 72nd birthday today. Big up to my dad, Anthony Otterbridge, out there. If you see him in passing, he's in a blue van. But it's his birthday today. I don't know. Was I supposed to say his age? Well, he's 72. He's 70. That's an accomplishment, man. That's an accomplishment. So big happy birthday to my pops, Anthony Otterbridge, out there. He's not a perfect man. He's a Somerset fan and cotton match. But he's an okay guy. So if you see him, give my pops a big happy birthday today. But it is May 14th. And let's go. Special days. It is it's National Travel Insurance Claims Day. National Travel Insurance Claims Day. It's International Chihuahua Appreciation Day. It's National Buttermilk Biscuit Day. It is National Dance Like a Chicken Day. It's Online Romance Day. But you know what? I want to go with travel insurance. I want to ask you all. Do you all, be honest, let me know, be honest with me. Do you all purchase the travel insurance when you travel? You know how you book your ticket and it says, for that $25, do you purchase it? Because I never purchase it. And I'm like, it's $20, Jamal. It reminds me of that Fresh Prince episode when Carlton and Will, they rented a car and they got in a collision. And Uncle Phil got on Carlton saying, it was $6. I honestly, folks, I'm not an insurance advisor, but I think purchasing travel insurance is worth it. I do. I'm going to do better. But let us know if you purchase travel insurance. We've got Maurice Foley says absolutely 100 for travel insurance. James Burgess says no. All right, we've got some birthday shout outs for my pops. Shawnette Bell says happy birthday, Bridge. Yep, that's what they call him. Mark Arthur says happy birthday, family. Rosalind Famous says happy birthday to your daddy. Happy birthday, Outer Bridge from Charles H. Jeffers. We got Suzanne Ingham says, happy birthday, Jamel's daddy. Have a super awesome day. We've got Miss Alan Kate Horton said that makes him perfect. Oh, that Somerset stuff. I probably shouldn't have started this early. We've got, yes, travel insurance, Anthony Richardson. We've got, yes, says Shawnette Bell. We've got, yes, says Renee Shallon. So I'm the only one that doesn't purchase travel insurance along with James Burgess? Charles says, don't ask Miss Alan Kate Horton or Couture about travel insurance. Oop. On that note, let's take our break, folks. Don't go anywhere. I'm really excited about this conversation with Lisa James coming up from the Bermuda Caregivers Alliance. This is a new organization that she's founded. And honestly, the importance of caregivers with an aging population, it can't be overstated. Like this is a conversation that I feel like everyone needs to be a part of. We're going to take this quick break and we'll be back. But in the meantime, if you were streaming with us, help us beat the algorithms. Help us beat the algorithms. Whether you're on Facebook, LinkedIn, YouTube, Twitter, X, or Instagram, give us a like, love, follow, share the link with your friends, your family, your colleagues, and we'll be back in about 3:17. Stick with us.
Take a look at our workbook for construction workers and tradesmen. Durable, stretchable in all the right places, and plenty of options for tools and accessories. Paired with our wide range of tough and comfortable footwear, you can't go wrong. As you can see, Medical House really is a one-stop shop for everybody. We can't wait to see you.
See it all at our new expanded location on Bakery Lane.
Discover Drop It, your go-to grocery delivery. Browse and select from a wide range of groceries, from fresh produce to daily essentials. Our friendly drivers deliver fresh groceries to your door fast, saving you time and hassle. With Drop It, you get fresh groceries delivered fast so you can focus on what really matters. Drop It, freshness at your doorstep, delivered to your door with Lindo's. Why go anyplace else?
What lasts isn't what you buy, but what it becomes. With the HSBC MasterCard credit card, every spend quietly adds to a story shaped by intention and offers what matters most. Support that meets you where you are. Protection that preserves what you choose. Confidence for the unexpected. Peace of mind wherever your story leads. Start your next chapter. Use your card today. HSBC is licensed to conduct banking and investment business by the Bermuda Monetary Authority.
What if the age that really matters isn't the one on your ID? You probably know your chronological age, the number of candles on your last birthday cake. But there's another kind of age that may be even more important, your biological age. This reflects how old your body truly is at the cellular level. It is influenced by your genes, your environment, and the choices you make every day. Two people can both be 40 years old on paper, but one may have the body of a healthy 30-year-old, while the other is biologically closer to 50. The difference? Lifestyle choices on nutrition, sleep, stress, exercise, and exposure to toxins. That means you have some control over your biological clock, and that's exactly what makes it so powerful. Because when it comes to aging, it's not just about living longer, it's about living better. Want to know your predicted biological age today? Download the free Carrier Genetics app and fill in the lifestyle questionnaire.
You wanna come get some?
Alrighty, welcome back to the big show. Jamel Hartman here, folks. This is the Daily Hour brought to you by the BAC Group of Companies, HSBC, Bermuda Medical, Linda's People's Pharmacy, and big love to Hot 1075 for ensuring that we can pump through the radio airwaves with these most important community conversations. Folks, do not forget to subscribe on our website, thedailyhour.com. Follow us on all of our social media channels to stay up to date with all that we have going on. Help us grow beyond the mic as we do our part to continue to improve our community. All right, without further ado, let's welcome our very special guest today, Lisa James. She's founded this organization, Bermuda Caregivers Alliance. Folks, I'm going to share this shortly because I want to bring her in. We've got a lot to talk about, but it's one of those things like PALS. It's one of those things where many of us don't know the importance of something until we need it. And my hope is that through these conversations, we will actually begin to support organizations and things and people before we actually need them. So let's give a warm TDH welcome to our very special guest, Lisa James, this morning. Greetings, Lisa.
Good morning. Thank you for having me on your show.
Thanks for coming.
Good morning. Thank you for having me on your show. Thank you for the Daily Hour.
No worries. Let's do me a favor. Your head's cut off a bit, so just bring yourself a bit down. We want to make sure we get your entire face. Yep, there we go. There we go. Don't want to cut you off, but I got to ask you, jump into the meat of the conversation real quickly. Please tell me, do you purchase travel insurance?
When I don't. I'm not in the habit of doing it. My daughter tells me that I should, but I'm not in the habit of doing it, no.
Okay. I think we're aligned. This is great. One more question, because we're getting close. One more question that has absolutely nothing to do with anything right now. But Lisa, who do you support those 2 days in the summer?
Oh, I'm for Somerset.
Oh, okay. You suffer from the same thing my dad does. Okay. No worries. Let's move on, Lisa. We've got some important stuff to discuss. Forget that 2 day summer stuff. But just tell the audience a bit about your background and what it is that you do.
Well, my background is in special needs education. I have a Bachelor of Science in Behavioral Sciences and a postgraduate certification in education. But my current position is a caregiver back in Bermuda. So that's pretty much my background. So special needs and caregiving for disabled adults is kind of similar. So using transferable skills in what I do now.
And you founded the Bermuda Caregivers Alliance. It was both from personal, born from personal experience, sorry. Can you share your story and what inspired you to create this organization?
Sure. So Bermuda Caregivers Alliance was built both from lived and personal experience, professional experience as well. In the short time that I was doing caregiving, I realized that there was an emotional and physical financial strain that came with it. It was kind of different from being a special needs teacher, obviously, because the other agencies are involved with the students. But being a caregiver, you are the main contact for any area that the client may need. But I experienced what it felt like supporting others while navigating my own burnout, grief, carrying it silently, isolation, and at times feeling unsupported within the caregiving system. But what came clear to me was that caregivers were an essential part to the Bermuda healthcare infrastructure, but yet we're invisible, or we feel like we're invisible. So it's like whether someone is caring for an elderly adult, a loved one, a child, or working professionally in caregiving, the responsibility could be extremely overwhelming. So I didn't want to just talk about the challenges. I wanted to create something constructive, a robust organization that focused on caregivers specifically with their support, education, advocacy, formatting ethical standards, while building a stronger system around caregivers. And that became the foundation of the Bermuda Caregivers Alliance.
Congratulations, and thank you for seeing the problem and creating this solution to it, because caregivers play such a vital role in the community. yet many often feel unseen or overwhelmed. Why do you believe caregiver support has become such an important issue in Bermuda? Is it just because our aging population? What's contributing to it?
Well, with the aging population, the healthcare demands are increasing. Many families are relying on both informal and formal professional caregivers every day. Caregivers are helping people to remain at home instead of going into the hospital, supporting hospital discharges, assisting with dementia care, Alzheimer's, Parkinson's disease, critical illness, kidney renal failure. But we still lack the adequate support systems ourselves. So what we're seeing here is an emotional workforce shortages and burnout, which is becoming more common. So if caregivers are unsupported, eventually the wider healthcare system feels the pressure. Caregivers are not simply a social issue, it's a healthcare sustainability issue and a community well-being issue. And that's where Bermuda Caregivers Alliance comes in.
Indeed. For those tuned in on the radio, we're talking to Lisa James, the founder of the Bermuda Caregivers Alliance. I like this comment, and I'll get through comments and questions in a bit, folks, but Anika de Shields makes a very good point. This is not a job that can be taken by AI. Indeed, this is definitely something that's going to require the human element as well. But what are some of the biggest challenges, Lisa, challenges families and professional caregivers face emotionally, financially, or practically?
In my short experience and networking with other caregivers, it's isolation, feeling that we're carrying everything on our own. Emotionally, caregivers experience exhaustion, grief, anxiety, and depression are big ones. I read an international study where up to 30 to 60% of caregivers reported experiencing anxiety and depression. 87% felt that they had no support. We have compassion fatigue, especially when individuals' long-term illness decline or they pass. We have financial issues with reduced hours, leaving employment early to care for loved ones. And these are people already in professional jobs that still have a responsibility for their loved ones. So they need support as well, how to navigate the decline, how to navigate the mental strain, how to also take time for themselves. So while caregivers often face inconsistencies around pay, training opportunities, and recognition of the complexity of their work, many may struggle to access respite, guidance, or even spaces where they feel heard and understood. And these are real pressures that would affect one's mental health, family stability, and overall the long-term well-being.
The Alliance is focused on education, peer connection, and advocacy. How do these three areas help strengthen and support caregivers?
Well, the BCA focuses strongly on education, peer connection, and advocacy because all three are essential in strengthening caregivers and their well-being for long-term outcomes. So when we look at education, we look at education of keeping caregivers informed. It helps you to feel empowered and safer in your roles because, just as a doctor upgrades or he goes and, studies something new, caregivers should have that same ability. So many caregivers, as I've come to find out after research and talking to other caregivers, we step into these roles without guidance and training, adequate training. So the peer connection creates a space where caregivers know that they are not alone, that they have the support from others who genuinely understand what caregiving consists of and the strain that it has on your emotional well-being. So the advocacy for caregivers is making sure that caregivers have a voice in conversations around the healthcare systems, the standards and fair treatment, and the community as a whole for support. So we shouldn't only be seen when there's a crisis, our contributions deserve recognition and representation all year round because of how we support the healthcare infrastructure in Bermuda.
Indeed. And let's go transition to this because I've asked this question when we've had pals on, as well as other organizations who do such work, and like therapists, who help people. And I'm just like, well, who helps you? So, many caregivers spend so much time caring for others that they neglect their own well-being. How important is it to create spaces where caregivers themselves feel supported?
Well, Jamal, that's critically important, because if a caregiver cannot find care for themselves, they're not going to be able to care for the individual or the client to the best of their capacity or to the best of the client's needs. So when we ignore our own physical and emotional health, we experience what they call caregiver burnout. So we need to normalize conversations around caregiver stress, grief, exhaustion, and the mental health without judgment or shame. Creating supportive spaces allows caregivers to be heard, to feel valued, and to be connected, to remind us that we matter as well. One of the things that we say through BCA is that caregivers cannot continue pouring from an empty cup. So supporting caregivers ultimately strengthens the quality of care being provided to others.
I like that. You can't pour from an empty cup. Absolutely not. Let's go to the audience. Audience, I'll get through as many comments and questions as possible. I think it's only appropriate we start with this comment. Shanto James, I believe I'm pronouncing it correctly, says, "Proud of you, Mom." Sounds like someone who knows you. We've got...
Thank you, son. Thank you, Shanto.
James Burgess asking, what about those caregivers that have multiple clients?
Pardon?
James Burgess says, what about those caregivers that have multiple clients?
I didn't hear that one, Jamal.
I think there's a delay.
What about them? Because sometimes we have to have multiple clients in order to make an adequate wage. A lot of caregivers take clients that are on future care, and the wage is $17.13 for a personal caregiver, $25 for a skilled caregiver. However, the personal caregiver carries the most weight because they're the one that spends the most time with the client.
Let's go with Charles H. Jefferson II. He says, when I became my mother's caregiver, I felt so alone, confused, and wandering aimlessly. I now try to help those who find themselves in similar situations. I wish this was around 5 years ago. How many stories like that do you hear, Lisa?
Oh, quite a few. Quite a few. And I think what it is a lot of people are afraid to call themselves caregiver. But in my view, if you are responsible for your parent or your child or a loved one taking medication, making sure that they don't wander if they're having signs of dementia, going to see doctor's visits, then essentially you're a caregiver and you need support. And it's support in how to navigate, what does this sickness do to my family member? And how does that affect me? How will it affect me? So, making plans ahead of time, having these difficult conversations can also help family caregivers understand the caregiver that's coming in to assist with the needs of the family.
Yeah, I absolutely love this. I feel, as you're talking, you can feel the belief and the passion and the care in what you're doing. And I really hope, audience, that you support this, because this is a need. And I said it earlier, but I mean it. I don't want us to keep living in a space where we don't support things until we personally need them. Get there prior, because if you're waiting, the organization may not exist when it's your turn, or they may not have the capacity to be able to assist you. So I think it's so important for people to learn about things. And this is why I'm grateful and thankful for you and your team reaching out to us to have this discussion, because we don't know what we don't know. So thank you. I can't say that enough for actually creating this alliance and letting people know, hey, there's help here. There are options here. Anika DeShields is asking, is this service covered by the patient's insurance or by their loved ones?
Well, we're not an employer. We are the support for the caregiver. So as a nonprofit charity, we're looking to support you in ways that may be financially difficult. Those things, we're still working out those small little logistics. But what you can do is send an email with your questions to Bermuda Caregivers gmail.com, and we will get back to you with what we can find to assist. And that's for anyone that may have any additional questions or concerns. We will be holding more meet and greets across the island as the months go by, letting the little bit of Carnival and 24th of May go by. But we'll be holding more because the only way that we're going to be able to assist in effectively is if we hear from you.
And you kind of just answered my final question. What's your vision for Bermuda Caregivers Alliance, and how can we, the community, get involved in supporting the overall mission?
Again, you can go to our website and send an inquiry, or you can email the Bermuda Caregivers Alliance at gmail.com, and we will get back to you.
Indeed. Lisa, thank you so much for making time, having this conversation. Please, if you have anything, meet and greets coming up, please just reach out, let us know so that we can share as well. But thank you again for creating this organization. And I wish you and your team the very best going forward.
Yes, thank you. And one more thing I just want to say, when it comes to our caregivers and looking at the statistics on international studies, it's not a matter if Bermuda could afford to care for the caregiver. It's about if Bermuda can afford not to.
Wow. Yeah, I agree. Thank you. And a way to end it on. Lisa, have a wonderful day, and please keep in touch.
I will. And thank you so much, Jamal. I do listen to you. And I like the provoking questions and, reality about what's really happening around us. So caregiving, this is something I've built out of my heart. Health is one of my big babies, but Bermuda Caregivers Alliance is for everyone. Family caregivers, paid caregivers, whether you're dealing with children, because remember, children have caregivers as well. So we want to make sure that we reach out to them and let their families know that Bermuda Caregivers Alliance is here to support you in any way that we can.
Indeed. Thank you so much. And we'll be in touch. Have a wonderful day, Lisa.
Thank you.
All right. Lisa James, Bermuda Caregivers Alliance. We've got so much love for Lisa. Sherilyn Pringle says, TDH family, good morning and congratulations, Lisa. We've got Evelyn Pitt. Says, I'm so happy for you, Lisa, and wish you all the best in your journey. Love you, sis. You all are showing some love. We've got Kathy Sumner says, good morning, TDH, and guest Lisa. I want to go through these as well. We've got Rosalind Famous says, unpaid caregiving in the U.S. is estimated to be valued at $1 trillion. Wow. Charles H. Jefferson II, he said, I no longer judge those who decide to put a loved one in assisted living facility. Taking this on at home is a huge undertaking. Unfortunately, we don't have enough options in Bermuda. Sally Kate Horton said, there are many wonderful caregivers. It can be quite costly. Sherilyn Johnson says, I agree with Charles. I felt so alone and helpless. Didn't know what services were available to assist me. I do now, but little too late. Audience, thank you all for rocking with us. And again, if you appreciated the conversation discussion, if you want to help support Lisa, please reach out. We're going to take our final break. We'll come back. In the meantime, if you're streaming with us, make sure you help us beat the algorithm so many others know about the Bermuda Caregivers Alliance and, can assist, maybe offer support, or maybe could get some direction. All right. We're going to take our final break. We've got the Daily Play coming up. You don't want to miss it. Trust me. Stick with us. Back in a few.
For over 70 years, Bermuda Pest Control has been protecting homes and businesses island-wide. We offer a full suite of services, including rodent control, termite fumigation, and general insect control and maintenance. Our team of experts will quickly and efficiently eliminate any pest problem you may have. With Bermuda Pest Control, you can enjoy a pest-free home in no time. We're committed to providing fast, reliable, and solution-driven services for our customers. It's what we've been doing since 1952. Call Bermuda Pest Control today and say goodbye to pests for good.
Dreaming of expanding your business? With BDC's Loan Guarantee Program, we support your ambitions. Get up to 75% guarantee on bank or credit union loans up to $300,000. Just your vision and our support. Apply today and unlock new business opportunities. BDC, Bermuda Business starts here.
Bermuda, there's nothing like a home-cooked meal, especially when you can feed the whole family without stretching your wallet. With the affordable Bermuda basket, you'll find savings on everyday staples like rice, chicken, corn, and more. Everything you need to make a good meal for less. Shop the Bermuda basket at Lindo's, Marketplace, the Garden Market, and the English Market. Visit costofliving.gov.bm to see the full list of goods and start planning your meals. This is a message from the Ministry of Home Affairs.
Life moves fast, and so can the unexpected. When you insure your home, you need to know that your insurance company has your back. At Friesenbrook, let one of our friendly and professional agents give you that peace of mind. Because when you are covered, you are confident. Call us at 296-3600 or visit friesenbrook.bm to learn more.
All righty, welcome back to the big show. Thanks again to Lisa James and the Bermuda Caregivers Alliance for stopping by this morning. Greatly appreciate her and her team for what they are doing. Awesome. Folks, thanks again to the BAC group of companies, HSBC, Bermuda Medical House, Lindo's, People's Pharmacy, and big love to Hot 1075 for ensuring that we can pump through the radio airwaves with these most important community conversations. It is time for the Daily Play, brought to you by Bermuda Trivia, now available at stores throughout Bermuda. Follow Bermuda Trivia on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, X, and TikTok to find out why it's Bermuda's favorite trivia game. All right, it is a Name That Place today. Let's see. You all got this. I know you've got this. Let's do it. All right. What U.S. state is closest to Africa, the continent of Africa? You all are Googling. You got it. Charles H. Jeffers II got it one time, Maine. So did Traveling Trotty. It is Maine, yeah. Not Florida, not Hawaii, not North Carolina. It is Maine. Yeah, Maine. Maine is the closest U.S. state to the continent of Africa. Miss Alan Kate Horton got it as well. All right. I didn't know the answer. I'm going to be honest with you, folks. I did not know the answer. I hadn't even thought of what it might or could be. I definitely would not have said Maine. I actually, let me look at a map. I need to see a world map. I'm looking up a map, audience, because I need to see what this actually looks like. Okay, yeah, I see, because Maine pushes out further to the Atlantic. Florida is actually the furthest away on the East Coast or South Carolina, Georgia. Yeah, interesting. Anyway, we learn something new every day, folks. Charles just says, have you not seen a map? I'm looking at one now, sir. My goodness. Rude. All right, folks, we got to wrap it up. But as far as the discussion this morning about the changing demographics of Bermuda, I think organic diversity is a beautiful thing. I've said on this show, I say it to people all the time. I am okay entering rooms and spaces where people don't look like me, don't sound like me, and don't think like me. I welcome it, as long as I feel safe. But it has to be organic. Shouldn't be forced. It has to be natural. It cannot be the result of displacement, or, to use the term someone used earlier, engineering. Bermuda's changing demographics don't feel organic. It feels deliberate. It feels like there's one group, that being Bermudians, middle-class Bermudians, Black Bermudians, who are being pushed out. You would think that wouldn't be the case, considering the political party that currently governs Bermuda. As far as the discussion with Lisa James, again, grateful. We don't know what we don't know. Caregiving is something that, although I was not fully present during my mom's sickness, my sister helped me understand. I'm a social worker. I'm not a nurse or a caregiver. I cannot give her what she needs. And when you see the caregiver, you also wonder, how are they making out? They still have a family to go home to. Who's supporting them? Again, we've asked this question about therapists and many others. Human beings need support regardless of what they do in life. You know, I remember asking about Bermuda police and the fire, and these murders were happening regularly and the road fatalities, having to scoop people up. How do you go home to your family? How can you block this out? And you learn about the support services that are offered. I think the moral of this story is everyone, regardless of what they do or how hard or intelligent or strong you think they are, people need human support. Make sure you support, reach out. You can send an email to, or go check their website out, Bermuda Caregivers Alliance.org. Go check them out. See how you can support them. Let me give you some daily inspiration before we head out. Let's see. Let me give you something from my book. I don't have it up in front of me, so I'm going to go and bring it up from here. So I'll just, here's one. And this is something that I had to realize. And a lot of these quotes, and you can ask me questions about them, feel free. But when, and I'm going to continue saying what I say, when I was fired from the Bermuda Tourism Authority, you know, because that's what they do to outspoken Black male. They say I was made redundant, but they fired me. But anyway, it was one of those things where you're like, oh, okay, well, what next? So this quote really came from that time. It says, if you feel like there's no path to follow, find the courage to pave your own way, end quote. And I hope people understand that sometimes we have to dig deep and look within and find our own way. Because we live in a time right now where people just are not going to try to help, not because they don't want to, but because they have their own stuff going on. And they have to take care of themselves and their families. So find the courage to pave your own way. All right? All right, folks, it's time to head out. Don't forget to subscribe on our website. Follow us on all of our social media channels to stay up to date with all that we have going on. Help us grow beyond the mic as we do our part to continue to improve our community. Thanks again to our partners, the BAC Group of Companies, HSBC Bermuda, Medical House Lindos, People's Pharmacy, and big love to Hot 107.5 for ensuring that we can pump through the radio areas with these most important community conversations. As always, we appreciate you, we love you, and we thank you for making us part of your daily routine. If all goes well, we'll be back to do this again with you tomorrow. I'm Jamal Hartman. Please do make it a safe and a great day. We are out. Peace.